Most of your problems are not as complicated as you think. They feel overwhelming, they feel personal, they feel endless. But if you look closely, you'll notice something uncomfortable. The same problems keep repeating, just in different forms. Stress, anger, overthinking, feeling disrespected, feeling lost. The Stoics understood this centuries ago. They didn't try to fix every problem individually. They fixed the mind that creates the problems. Because when the mind is undisciplined, life feels hostile, and when the mind is mastered, most problems lose their power. Today, you'll learn 10 Stoic lessons that address the root, not the symptoms. Lessons that don't make life easier, but make you stronger, calmer, and unshakable. These are not motivational ideas, they are mental laws. And if you apply them consistently, they will quietly eliminate most of the chaos in your life. Stay with me until the end, because mastery of the mind is mastery of everything that follows. Lesson 1. You don't control life, you control your response. Most people exhaust themselves fighting the wrong battle. They try to control outcomes, other people's behavior, timing, luck, recognition. And when life refuses to cooperate, they feel frustrated, anxious, and powerless. Stoic philosophy begins by dismantling this illusion. You do not control life. You never did. What you control is how you respond. This single distinction eliminates more suffering than any technique or mindset hack. The Stoics called this the dichotomy of control. Some things depend on you, some things do not. Your opinions, choices, actions, effort, and character, these are yours. Outcomes, other people's thoughts, the past, the future, chance, these are not. Most problems arise when you mix the two. You pour emotional energy into what you can't command and neglect what you actually govern. That's how anxiety is born. Think about it. You worry about how you'll be perceived. You stress about results that haven't happened. You replay conversations, hoping to rewrite them. All of that attention goes to things outside your control, and the cost is always the same: inner peace. The Stoics didn't deny difficulty. They denied misplaced effort. They asked a sharper question: what is required of me right now? Not what should happen, not what might happen, but what is within my power to do well. This is where strength returns. Because when your focus narrows to what you can control, your mind stops scattering. You stop arguing with reality. You stop negotiating with fate. You act. Here's a simple exercise the Stoics practiced, whether consciously or not. Draw 2 columns. On one side, in my control. On the other, not in my control. In your control, your effort, your words, your boundaries, your discipline, your integrity, not in your control. Results, opinions. Timing, other people's emotions. Every time you feel overwhelmed, ask yourself, which column am I stuck in? If it's the second one, that's your signal to let go. Not emotionally, not dramatically, practically. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop bleeding energy where it can't produce results. This is why Stoics appear calm under pressure. They are not calmer by nature. They are clearer in judgment. They invest fully in what they can influence and release everything else without resentment. Here's the paradox. The less you try to control life, the more powerful you become. Because power doesn't come from dominance over events. It comes from mastery of response. 2 people can face the same situation. One collapses, complains, resists. The other adapts, acts, and moves forward. Same event. Different response. That difference explains nearly every gap in resilience you see. This lesson alone fixes a massive portion of daily suffering. Anxiety shrinks when you stop predicting. Anger fades when you stop demanding. Frustration dissolves when you focus on execution. The Stoics summarized it simply. Do what is yours. Release the rest. Not once. Not occasionally. Constantly. And when this becomes a habit, life stops feeling like a personal attack and starts feeling like a terrain you know how to navigate. This is where Stoic mastery begins, and it prepares you for the next lesson. Why most emotional pain doesn't come from what happens, but from how you interpret it. Lesson 2. Most suffering comes from interpretation, not events. Here is a truth that is difficult to accept, but impossible to ignore once you see it. What hurts you is rarely what happens. It's what you think what happens means. Two people can experience the same event. One remains calm, the other is devastated. Same situation, different suffering. The difference is not the event, it is the interpretation. Stoic philosophy places enormous emphasis on this point because once you understand it, emotional chaos begins to lose its grip. A comment is made, a message is ignored, a plan falls apart. None of these events are inherently painful. Pain appears the moment the mind adds meaning. They disrespected me. I'm not valued. This always happens to me. That sentence, that interpretation, is where suffering begins. The Stoics were ruthless about separating facts from judgments. A fact is neutral, a judgment is emotional, and most people confuse the two constantly. Someone speaks sharply to you. Fact, words were spoken. Judgment, they don't respect me. Your idea gets rejected. Fact, the idea wasn't chosen. Judgment, I'm not good enough. Life delivers events. Your mind delivers commentary, and you suffer from the commentary. This is why Stoics trained themselves to pause, not to suppress emotion, but to examine the story forming in the mind. They asked, what am I adding to this situation? Because once you remove the added meaning, the emotional charge collapses. This doesn't make you passive, it makes you accurate. Here's an uncomfortable realization. Most emotional pain is optional, not because pain isn't real, but because much of it is self-generated. When you label events as personal attacks, failures, or threats, your nervous system reacts accordingly. But when you label them accurately, your response becomes measured. Stoicism does not deny emotion. It denies false conclusions. It teaches you to replace automatic interpretation with deliberate judgment. Instead of, this is bad, you ask, is this actually harmful or merely unpleasant? Instead of, they did this to me, you ask, what evidence do I have for that conclusion? These questions create space. And in that space, power returns. Because the moment you realize that you choose the meaning, you stop being at the mercy of events. Here's a practical Stoic exercise. When something triggers you, write it down in 2 lines. Line 1, what happened? Facts only. Line 2, what am I telling myself about it? You'll quickly see the pattern. The second line carries almost all the pain, and once you see it clearly, you can challenge it, not with positivity, with realism. Ask, is this the only explanation? Is this interpretation useful? Is this within my control? Often, the answer is no. And when the answer is no, the emotional storm weakens. This lesson alone dissolves. Anger fueled by assumptions, anxiety driven by imagination, resentment rooted in false narratives. The Stoics understood something crucial. You cannot always control events, but you always control the story you tell about them. And when you stop feeding destructive interpretations, life becomes quieter, not because it's easier, but because you're no longer attacking yourself from the inside. This prepares you for the next lesson. Why expecting life to be fair guarantees disappointment, and how accepting reality as it is makes you mentally unbreakable. Lesson 3. Stop expecting life to be fair. One expectation silently destroys more peace than almost any other. The belief that life should be fair, that effort should always be rewarded, that good intentions should be recognized, that pain should come with explanations, and when reality doesn't meet that expectation, resentment begins to grow. Stoic philosophy confronts this illusion directly. Life is not fair, and it never promised to be. This is not pessimism, it's clarity. Most frustration comes from arguing with this fact. You work hard and someone else advances. You act with integrity and still get misunderstood. You do the right things and life remains difficult. The mind asks, why me? But that question has no useful answer. The Stoics noticed something important. Expectations of fairness turn ordinary hardship into personal injustice. Hardship by itself is manageable. Injustice feels unbearable, not because it's worse, but because it adds emotional resistance. When you expect fairness, every obstacle feels like a violation. When you don't, obstacles feel like terrain, something to navigate, not protest. This shift alone removes a massive amount of bitterness. Stoicism replaces the demand for fairness with the practice of adaptation. Not, this shouldn't have happened, but this happened. What now? That question restores agency. Because the moment you stop expecting life to reward you, you stop waiting, you act, and action creates momentum. Here's a difficult truth most people avoid. Life doesn't care about your intentions. It responds to your actions and resilience. This doesn't mean virtue is useless. It means virtue is its own reward. The Stoics lived by this standard. They focused on doing what was right, not on whether it would be appreciated. Why? Because tying your peace to fairness gives control to the external world, and the external world is indifferent. But when you tie your peace to your character, you become internally stable, unshakable. Here's a practical Stoic reframe. When something feels unfair, pause and ask, is this within my control? If not, drop the moral argument. Life doesn't respond to complaints, it responds to competence. Then ask, what strength is required of me here? Patience, courage, endurance, detachment. Every challenge becomes a training ground instead of a verdict. This is why Stoics appear unusually calm in situations that break others. They are not naive. They are not detached from reality. They are aligned with it. They don't demand fairness from life. They demand excellence from themselves. And that shift changes everything. When you stop expecting fairness, resentment loses fuel, victimhood dissolves, responsibility returns. You stop asking life to justify itself to you, and you start justifying yourself through action. The Stoics summarize this mindset clearly. Do not demand that events happen as you wish. Wish them to happen as they do, and you will be at peace. Peace does not come from getting what you deserve. It comes from mastering how you respond to what you get. And once you accept this fully, you are ready for the next lesson. Why discomfort is not a punishment, but the very tool that builds mental strength. Lesson 4. Discomfort is training, not punishment. Most people treat discomfort as a warning sign. If something feels hard, they assume something is wrong. If something feels unpleasant, they back away, and without realizing it, they train themselves to become fragile. Stoic philosophy takes the opposite position. Discomfort is not the enemy. It is the instructor. The Stoics observed that a life built around comfort produces a weak mind, not morally weak, but mentally unprepared. When every inconvenience feels unbearable, every challenge feels overwhelming. That's not because life is harsher now. It's because tolerance has dropped. The Stoics practiced what they called voluntary hardship, not self-punishment, not misery for its own sake, but deliberate exposure to difficulty to strengthen the mind before real hardship arrives. They understood a simple law. You don't rise to the level of your intentions. You fall to the level of your training. If your training is comfort, discomfort will break you. If your training is discipline, discomfort becomes familiar. This is why avoidance creates anxiety. Every time you escape discomfort, your mind learns, this is dangerous. And next time, the fear is stronger. But when you stay, when you endure, the mind learns something else. I can handle this. That realization fixes more problems than motivation ever could. Think about how many issues trace back to avoidance. Avoiding hard conversations, avoiding effort, avoiding boredom, avoiding uncertainty. Each avoidance strengthens fear. Stoicism breaks this loop deliberately, not with grand gestures, but with small controlled discomforts, cold exposure, silence, hunger, effort when tired, saying no when it's uncomfortable. Each one sends a message to the mind. I am capable, and capability breeds calm. Here's a key Stoic insight. Comfort does not make you safer. It makes you less resilient. When life inevitably becomes difficult, the untrained mind panics, but the trained mind recognizes the terrain. I've been here before. This is why Stoics didn't complain about hardship. They expected it, not pessimistically, realistically. They knew life includes loss, effort, rejection, and pain. So they prepared. Here's a practical Stoic exercise. Choose one small discomfort per day. Nothing extreme, nothing harmful. Examples. Finish a task when you want to quit. Sit in silence instead of reaching for distraction. Take the harder path when it's reasonable. Delay gratification intentionally. Then observe something important. The discomfort rises, then falls, and you remain. That experience retrains the mind. It teaches you that discomfort is temporary, but avoidance has long-term costs. Over time, something shifts. What once felt unbearable becomes manageable. What once caused anxiety becomes familiar. This lesson alone fixes. Weak discipline, fear-driven procrastination, emotional overreaction. Because when you stop running from discomfort, life stops chasing you with it. The Stoics summarized this perfectly. The obstacle is the way, not metaphorically, practically. Difficulty is not blocking your growth, it is your growth. And once you internalize this, you're ready for the next lesson. Why your thoughts feel so convincing and how separating from them restores clarity and control. Lesson 5. You are not your thoughts. One of the most damaging mistakes people make is believing every thought they have. They assume that because a thought appears in their mind, it must be true, or important, or urgent. Stoic philosophy dismantles this illusion immediately. A thought is not a command. It is not a fact, and it is not you. Yet most people live as if it is all three. A thought says, "You're failing," and the body reacts with tension. Another says, "They don't respect you," and anger ignites. But the Stoics noticed something simple and powerful. Thoughts arrive on their own. You don't invite them, you don't choose their timing, you don't control their content. So why give them authority? The mind produces thoughts the way the lungs produce breath, constantly, automatically. Many of those thoughts are useless. Some are distorted. Some are driven by fear, ego, or habit. Yet people treat them like instructions. This is how overthinking becomes suffering. Stoicism teaches mental distance, not suppression, not denial. Distance. The ability to step back and observe a thought without becoming it. The moment you can say, "I'm having the thought that," instead of "I am," you break identification. And identification is the source of mental pain. Consider this. When a thought says, "I'm not good enough," that is not reality speaking. That is conditioning, memory, fear. The Stoics would ask, is this thought useful? Is it accurate? Is it within my control? Most thoughts fail all three tests, and once you see that, you stop obeying them. Here's an important Stoic insight. The mind is a tool, not a master. Used properly, it solves problems. Left undisciplined, it creates them. This is why trying to silence the mind doesn't work. Resistance feeds it. Stoicism teaches observation instead. You let the thought pass, without feeding it emotion, without building a story around it, without turning it into identity. And when you do that, something shifts. The thought loses momentum, not because it was defeated, but because it was ignored. This is not weakness. This is mastery. Here's a practical Stoic exercise. When a troubling thought appears, pause. Ask, is this thought within my control? If not, release it. Then ask, what action is within my control right now? Redirect attention to action. This trains the mind to serve reality, not dominate it. Over time, you'll notice something important. The thoughts still come, but they no longer dictate your emotional state. You respond instead of react. This lesson alone fixes overthinking, self-criticism, mental spirals. Because once you stop confusing thoughts with truth, clarity returns. The Stoics summarize this lesson quietly but clearly. You are disturbed not by things, but by the views you take of them. Change the relationship with your thoughts, and you change the quality of your life. And once this distinction is clear, you're ready for the next lesson. Why focusing on action, not outcomes, removes fear and restores momentum. Lesson 6, focus on action, not outcomes. Most people don't fail because they lack ability. They fail because they are paralyzed by outcomes. They obsess over results, over success, over how things will turn out, and that obsession quietly kills momentum. Stoic philosophy cuts through this trap with precision. You are responsible for your actions. You are not responsible for outcomes. Yet most people reverse this. They measure their worth by results. They wait to act until success feels guaranteed. They hesitate because failure feels personal. But outcomes were never under your control. They depend on timing, other people, chance, circumstances you cannot command. When you fixate on outcomes, you hand your peace to forces you don't govern. That's why anxiety spikes before action. The mind asks, what if this fails? What if this isn't enough? What if I look foolish? And instead of acting, you stall. The Stoics rejected this entirely. They anchored their identity not in success, but in right action. Did I act with discipline? Did I act with integrity? Did I do what was reasonable, given what I knew? If the answer was yes, the result didn't matter. This mindset is powerful because it restores control. You stop negotiating with the future and return to the present. Here's the Stoic sequence. Intention, action, release. You set a clear intention, you execute with focus, then you let go of the result. Not emotionally detached, but mentally free. This is why Stoics could endure failure without collapse. Failure did not define them, it informed them. Here's the hard truth most people avoid. When you tie your self-worth to outcomes, you will avoid challenges that could grow you. But when you tie your self-worth to effort, you become unstoppable, because effort is always available. Think about how many problems this lesson fixes. Fear of starting burnout from perfectionism. Procrastination rooted in pressure. All of them dissolve when outcomes stop being the metric. The Stoics believed that doing your duty well was enough. Everything beyond that was external. Here's a practical Stoic rule. Before any task, ask, what is the work I must do regardless of outcome? Then do only that. No more, no less. This narrows focus and calms the mind. You stop chasing validation. You stop fearing judgment. You start working, and work, done properly, creates confidence, not hype, not motivation, confidence built on action. Another insight the Stoics lived by: results come and go, character compounds. If you show up consistently, results eventually follow, but that's secondary. Your peace no longer depends on winning, it depends on showing up correctly. This is freedom. When you act without clinging to outcomes, fear loses leverage. Disappointment shortens momentum, returns because you are no longer waiting for permission from the future. You are grounded in what you can do now. The Stoics summarize this lesson clearly. Do your work. Let fate do the rest. And when this becomes your operating system, you're ready for the next lesson. Why silence, restraint, and not reacting often give you more power than explanation ever could. Lesson 7. Silence is a form of power. Most people give away their power through their mouth. They explain too much. They defend themselves unnecessarily. They react instantly. And in doing so, they reveal insecurity, even when they believe they're being honest or justified. Stoic philosophy teaches something counterintuitive. Silence is not weakness. Silence is restraint, and restraint is power. The Stoics understood that not every comment deserves a response. Not every accusation deserves clarification. Not every misunderstanding deserves correction. Why? Because reacting emotionally hands control to the external world. The moment you feel compelled to respond, you're no longer choosing, you are reacting. And reaction is rarely wise. Think about how many problems escalate because of words. Arguments that didn't need to happen, explanations that lowered your position, defenses that made you look guilty, emotional responses that fueled drama. Silence would have prevented most of them. This doesn't mean suppressing truth. It means choosing timing and necessity. The Stoics believed that a disciplined person speaks when it serves reason and stays silent when it serves peace. Here's an uncomfortable truth. You do not owe everyone access to your thoughts. Explaining yourself to people who have already decided how they will see you is wasted effort. Stoicism teaches discernment. Ask yourself, is this person open to understanding? Is responding likely to improve the situation? Or am I trying to relieve discomfort by talking? Often, the urge to explain is not about clarity. It's about anxiety. Silence exposes that anxiety and dissolves it. Another Stoic insight. People reveal themselves when you don't interrupt them. When you stop reacting, manipulators lose leverage. Aggression runs out of fuel. Disrespect becomes obvious. Silence forces the other person to sit with their behavior. And that is far more powerful than arguing. This is why Stoics valued calm presence over verbal dominance. They didn't try to win conversations. They focused on maintaining self-command. Here's a practical Stoic rule. Before you speak, pause and ask, is this necessary? Is this true? Is this useful? If it fails any of those tests, silence is the wiser option. Not passive silence, intentional silence. The kind that signals, I am not disturbed. I am not seeking approval. I am in control of myself. This lesson fixes unnecessary conflict, loss of respect, emotional exhaustion from drama. Because once you stop reacting automatically, you stop feeding chaos. The Stoics summarize this lesson simply. He who controls himself is stronger than he who conquers a city. Silence is not emptiness, it is discipline. And when discipline becomes your default, your presence alone carries weight. This prepares you for the next lesson. Why choosing character over approval is the only way to build a stable, unshakable identity. Lesson 8. Choose character over approval. One of the most exhausting traps you can fall into is living for approval. Approval from bosses, from friends, from family, from strangers who barely know you. At first, it feels harmless, even polite, but over time it erodes your identity. Stoic philosophy saw this danger clearly. They understood that the moment you need approval, you hand your inner stability to other people, and other people are unstable. Opinions change, moods shift, praise turns into criticism without warning. If your sense of worth depends on being liked, you will always feel anxious. The Stoics rejected this entirely. They chose character over applause, not because approval is evil, but because it is unreliable. Character, on the other hand, is internal. It cannot be taken from you. It does not fluctuate with opinion. Here is the key Stoic distinction. Approval is external. Character is internal. One is fragile, the other is solid. Most people reverse this. They act based on how something will look, how it will be received, how it will be judged, and in doing so, they slowly betray themselves. They say yes when they mean no. They stay silent when they should speak. They perform instead of act. This creates inner conflict, because the mind knows when you're being dishonest. Stoicism teaches alignment. Your thoughts, words, and actions should point in the same direction. That direction is virtue, wisdom, justice, courage, and self-control. Not popularity. Here's a difficult truth. You can be admired and still be weak. You can be disliked and still be right. The Stoics chose the second without hesitation. They understood that respect earned through character outlasts approval gained through performance. Here's a practical Stoic question to ask yourself. Would I still do this if no one ever knew? If the answer is no, you're probably acting for approval. If the answer is yes, you're acting from character. This question alone eliminates people-pleasing, identity confusion, fear of judgment, because it brings your focus back to what matters. Another Stoic insight: being misunderstood is often the cost of integrity. If you always need to be understood, you will eventually compromise. Stoics accepted misunderstanding calmly. They didn't rush to correct every false impression. They trusted time and consistency to reveal truth. And they slept well because their conscience was clear. This is where real confidence comes from, not from being liked, but from knowing you acted correctly. When you choose character over approval, you speak more honestly, you set firmer boundaries, you feel less anxious in social situations because you are no longer auditioning, you are simply being. The Stoics summarized this lesson powerfully. If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Nothing more is required. And once you anchor your life in character, you are ready for the next lesson. The one that sharpens priorities, cuts through procrastination, and reminds you how precious time truly is. Lesson 9. Remember death to clarify life. There is one practice the Stoics used that instantly cut through confusion, fear, and procrastination. They called it memento mori. Remember, you will die, not as a threat, not as something dark, but as a lens. Because nothing clarifies life like the awareness that it is limited. Most people live as if time is endless. They postpone important conversations. They delay meaningful work. They tolerate situations they know are wrong. Not because they are lazy, but because they forget how little time they actually have. Stoic philosophy treated this forgetfulness as dangerous. When you forget death, you waste life. You argue over trivial things. You chase approval that won't matter. You stay stuck in indecision. Memento mori ends that instantly. It asks a simple, uncomfortable question. If this were the last chapter of your life, would this still matter? Most things lose their grip immediately. Petty resentment fades. Ego softens. Fear shrinks. Because death puts everything in proportion. The Stoics didn't use death to create panic. They used it to create urgency and precision. They understood that time is not money. Time is life, and life, once spent, does not return. This awareness fixes many modern problems at their root: procrastination, indecision, tolerating disrespect, living without direction. When you remember that your days are numbered, you stop waiting for perfect conditions. You act, you speak honestly, you choose deliberately. You stop drifting. Here's a Stoic insight few people truly absorb. It is not death that people fear most. It is realizing too late that they did not live deliberately. Memento mori removes that regret in advance. It forces you to ask, what actually matters? What am I wasting time on? What deserves my attention now? And suddenly, clarity appears. Not because answers magically arrive, but because distractions fall away. The Stoics often reflected on death daily, not to be morbid, but to stay awake. Awake to the fact that today is not guaranteed. Awake to the fact that delay has a cost. Awake to the fact that this moment matters. Here's a practical Stoic exercise. At the start of your day, ask, if today were my last normal day, what would I not postpone? Then act on at least one of those things. It might be a conversation, a boundary, a piece of work, a decision you've been avoiding. This practice restores seriousness to life without removing joy. In fact, it deepens joy. Because when time feels precious, presence increases. Gratitude sharpens. Attention focuses. You stop living on autopilot. This lesson alone transforms how you use your energy. Because once you remember death, you stop chasing trivial validation, you stop tolerating meaningless suffering, you stop postponing what matters. You live with intention. The Stoics summarize this lesson simply. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. And once that awareness becomes part of you, you're ready for the final lesson. The one that ties everything together and shows why simplicity, not complexity, is the ultimate form of strength. Lesson 10. Simplicity is strength. Most people think their life is complicated. Too many problems, too many decisions, too many emotions pulling them in different directions. But Stoic philosophy reaches a different conclusion. Life is not complicated. Your mind is overloaded. Complexity is rarely a sign of depth. More often, it's a sign of lack of clarity. The Stoics believe that strength comes from simplicity, not a shallow simplicity, but a disciplined one. They stripped life down to essentials. What is within my control? What is worth my energy? What kind of person must I be today? Everything else was noise. Modern life does the opposite. It fills your mind with endless options, endless opinions, endless information, and the result is paralysis. Too many goals, too many roles, too many identities competing for attention. The mind becomes scattered, and a scattered mind feels weak. Stoicism restores power by subtraction, not by adding more strategies, but by removing what doesn't matter. Here's the Stoic insight most people miss. You don't need more answers. You need fewer distractions. When you simplify your priorities, decisions become easier. When you simplify your values, conflicts dissolve. When you simplify your expectations, peace becomes accessible. The Stoics lived by a small number of principles and applied them consistently. They didn't need novelty. They needed alignment. This is why Stoic calm looks effortless. It's not because life is easy. It's because their mental load is light. Here's a practical Stoic practice. Reduce your life to 3 non-negotiables. 3 values you will not compromise. 3 daily actions that matter most. 3 concerns worthy of your attention. Everything else becomes secondary, not ignored, but deprioritized. This single move eliminates overwhelm, indecision, mental clutter, because when everything matters, nothing truly does. Simplicity is not about having less. It's about carrying less internally. Fewer grudges, fewer expectations, fewer unnecessary desires. The Stoics understood that desire multiplies problems. The more you want, the more life can disappoint you. But when your needs are simple, life has fewer ways to disturb you. This is real strength, not dominance, not control. Stability. When your life is simple, you recover faster from setbacks. You adapt more easily. You feel grounded, even under pressure, because your center is not crowded. The Stoics summarize this final lesson clearly. If you seek tranquility, do less, but do what matters. Not everything deserves your energy. Not everyone deserves your explanation. Not every thought deserves attention. And when you truly understand this, you realize something powerful. Most of your problems were never that big. They just felt big because your mind was too full. Simplify the mind, and life follows. Master the mind, and the rest follows. If you step back and look at these 10 Stoic lessons, you'll notice something important. They don't try to fix every problem in your life. They fix how you face life. Because when your mind is disciplined, most problems either shrink or disappear entirely. You stop fighting what you can't control. You stop feeding false interpretations. You stop chasing approval, comfort, and certainty. And in that simplicity, strength returns. Stoic philosophy was never about escaping hardship. It was about becoming the kind of person who is not broken by it. So don't try to apply everything at once. Choose one lesson, practice it daily. Let it change how you think, speak, and act. Because when you master your mind, clarity replaces chaos. Calm replaces fear, and your life begins to feel manageable again. If this resonated, like the video, subscribe, and leave this affirmation in the comments. I master my mind, and my life follows. Live with discipline. Live with clarity.